Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen and today is Monday and we do mini Monday madness on Mondays. We do mini paintings just to help us get out of our comfort zone, think of new ideas, and just like almost like thumbnails. And obviously today we're working on some tea. I have tea on the brain. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Also, if you haven't hit the bell notification button, please hit the bell notification button to know my tutorial's up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Yeah, I decided to do tea because I have an upcoming trip to London and I wanted to get in the London brain, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to play around with tea and teacups. Teacups have so many patterns, and then you can play around with shadows and cast shadows with the tea itself. So this is something that would be kind of fun little exercise. Also check out my Patreon because the Patreon members have the traceable, but I give you guys reference photos here on the YouTube as well. And if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a place people go and support my channel where I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials, and live stream in the top tier once a month for me. You can check it out over here, right there with the little I button. So without further ado, let's get painting some tea time. Okay, so we're going to go over supplies. I have two 3-inch square pieces of Arches paper, which is 100% cotton cold pressed paper. People ask me all the time how I get this rough edges. Basically, I'm just folding paper in half that I've had, and I just tear it. You know, you fold it back and forth, and you just rip it off, and so you get this nice little rough edges. I'm going to be using my Sharpie fine point permanent marker. I have a Princeton 8 round, not long round, but the 8 round because I ordered a new long round, but it hasn't come in yet. Water jars up here. Paints, we'll go over them as I use them, and a paper towel close by. So I gave a reference photos of some teacups with some tea in it, you know, just to give you an idea. I'm not following their patterns. It's just good to look at some photos for, and I'm not following their particular wood silver spoon either. For placement of the tea, maybe the shadows. It's not the greatest photo for shadows, but you can kind of imagine some of the shadows on the tea itself, and then how it would be underneath the tea saucer. So, like I said, I'll talk about the paints as I use them. Basically, you know, we're working with any colors you can want to use. I think I'm going to stick to a certain kind of color palette. I have been playing with some florals over the weekend, like these colors. I love this. This is just ultramarine blue with a little bright rose or magenta stuck in there. So they're pretty much blues. I might do some aqua ones, like this teacup has some aqua in it. So play around with that. So you can just basically draw the basic shapes of the teacups. And I'm going to zoom in on my Sharpie. I like to use the Sharpie. You don't have to use ink and wash. You can just keep it with the pencil and paint from there. You know, not everybody has to do ink and wash. I like the ink and wash. It helps you reiterate drawing. Drawing is essential in any kind of art, really. So I'm not gonna draw everything with the pen, but it's kind of fun to play with, you know, in that sketchy kind of look. Just kind of outline the teacup, like so. Go on the edge here. And why I like the Sharpie as opposed to like a micron pen, because it does bleed if you want to paint over it. You can paint first and add the pen, but this is like the way I like to do it. See, I'm kind of breaking up the line as I'm drawing, as you see here. I'm just putting in, it's more of a sketch kind of look, and then I'll put in the double line here. Now, some of these teacups have a metallic paint. If you have metallic paint, great, you can use it. If not, you can just mix up some nice yellows to create that. Now, I might put in some sketchy florals. See, I'm just kind of like loosely kind of throwing in with my pen, just kind of scribbling some flowers. That, you know, yeah, I see some flowers on the teapot, but I'm going to create my own. I'm just kind of scribbling where I want them to go with the pen. Simple. Really easy. Flipping with this one. They're in different positions as well, so it's kind of cool. I mean, I like to, there's some great photos of like teacups with tea in them, like, you know, above the above position. Play around with like things like that. Below, above, and the side. Get used to like where the shadows go. So again, here I'm going to put the little line here. So the spoon is just basic on the photograph here. It's basic, you know, handle. I'm going to make mine a little fancy. And I can just imagine it. So I kind of rounded it out here and then put some little squiggles to indicate a fancier spoon. You can play around with, you don't have to do what you see in the picture. I talk about this all the time. They're just reference photos for ideas. Like we make the teacup and saucer patterns completely different, which I'm going to play around with the second one here. It has like the metallic on the edge, but I'm putting like a little scallop edge. Just a little funky and fancy. See, I'm just making a little scallop here. I could do it again here. I didn't have it in the sketch for the Patreon with the scallop on the inside, but you can just kind of imagine. Now they show fruit in this picture. Again, I don't feel like doing that. I'm going to put in some loose flowers. It's just, I don't want to do any floral. I mean, excuse me, fruit. Oops. And then they show in the photograph, the fruit coming, or the fruit or the floral fauna coming from this way out. See, it's the opposite this way in. In the center out, like from the indentation of the salsa. Saucer. It's a speaking, tongue-tied, twisting kind of word. So I'm just kind of scribbling in some squiggles that would indicate floral. Voila. Right now, like, it's kind of cute, right? You can just kind of picture it. And then, you know, like I said, play around with what you want to put in for your color-wise. Now I've chosen, this has got the aqua, this one's got all kinds of colors. I've chosen these blues and purples. I probably would do the aqua a little bit here too. Let's play around with that. So if you want to do the aqua kind of color, I have this great color called peacock blue. It's kind of already perfect. Gonna mix up a lot of that. You add a tinge of yellow. This is cadmium yellow deep, and you get more of that green, turquoisey kind of Tiffany blue. I'm adding a little more blue. I'm playing around with the paper towel to get the color I want. See? You can always see in that paper towel what color it is. And I'm just going to lightly put some more water, and I tap it on my paper towel also to get off the excess water. And just go right in and paint. We can start with the light color. Now this tea saucer is only showing it on the edge and the outer edge, but you can kind of go inside if you wanted to too. But we're just going to do this outer edge one. I'm putting a little blue color. See, just taking my brush. This is just a fun little exercise. I mean, these minis are so small. You don't want to like make yourself nuts creating some masterpieces in 3 by 3 inches. This is supposed to just get you loose, give you some ideas. See, I'm just kind of putting that blue in there. Let that dry. We'll do some shading when it's dry. For shading, I wouldn't recommend like gray. I want to do some more blues. I have that ultramarine blue here, which is really pretty. I am going to mix up that blue with, oops. Pay no attention. See if that ever happened to you? You just take some water real fast and lift it up. I have some bright rose here. I'll mix it with the blue to make a nice pretty purple. Keep adding more blue. So it's a blue purple. And then we'll mix up some green. So we've got some cadmium yellow deep. And you know I always add my peacock blue to it. It makes a nice bright green. Just love that. All right, so here we can just play around with this. And like I said, if you wanted to do some gold metallics, I didn't mention this, but I have Liquitex acrylic gold ink. I like the inks over the gold watercolor, but if you don't have gold watercolor, and actually gold gouache is great too. That's really good because it's more opaque. So I'm going to play around with making some flowers here. Now I'm going to do more of the ultramarine flower in this one. Just kind of tapping in grab a little more of my brush here. Let me zoom in. This one can be pink and blue, or blue and pink, whatever. If you wanted to do this one has like blues and greens and white flowers. Since it's just a loose little sketch, I'm just gonna take, if you come into an issue with the water being too loose, you just tap it on the paper towel and take off the excess water. You see how I'm just kind of dabbing around the paint. It doesn't have to look like a particular flower. But if you did want to make it look like a particular flower, we could play around with that too. I'm just kind of going around in a circle here. I'm just doing it really loose. I like the sketchy look. I want it to be like a study. See? So now here, I did little squirrels. I can show you again my marker. So if you want to draw an actual flower, you just go out here, make some petals. See how I wiggled the petals? Make a center, wiggle. You can add some leaves if you really wanted to get technical. The squirrels. But you can also paint it. So I'm adding some leaves here. And you can also see how this is just kind of a blob. You can also go back over that with the marker. And then you just kind of fill it in. I did do the aqua. And this is that purpley blue kind of color. I'm just kind of filling this in. Let's see where it goes. Right, and then I'll add some green. Clean up my brush. Take that green. It's pretty bright. If it's too bright, we can go and add some deeper, darker green. But I think the bright green works. And see, I'm just kind of tapping it all along in between these like purple flowers. If you wanted to have a leaf kind of sticking out. By the way, if you have too much water again, you just tap it back on the paper towel. And I'll go in here. It doesn't have to be a serious looking teapot. Right? They show just white underneath here with a little shadow. So if you wanted to take your ultramarine blue, water it down, tap it on paper towel. Just put a little blue wash right under here and in here. See? Shadow. We don't want to use like a gray. We want to use a nice bright color. And then we can use it on the inner side of the cup too. Right in here. You want to get a little more blue, you do that. For the tea, you can make some nice, that's kind of like a yellow brown. So we could take some yellow. You can even take that purple we mixed. See, you get like this golden, because yellow and purple make brown. If that color doesn't look appealing for tea, you can just take some of your burnt umber, which is a perfect color for this. Kind of water it down. Oops, sorry guys, I'm sorry. So take some burnt umber and water it down if that works for you. We'll put in a nice first wash, and then we'll wait till it dries, and we'll put in our second wash. So now that we have that color, let's just go on to the other one. Now you see the other one has darker tea. Just put that first wash, the tea color, and wait till that dries. We're going to move back and forth with these teacups. So this one, I'm grabbing my ultramarine blue. If I zoom in, we want the teacups to coordinate a little bit. So here we go, the blue. To paint in this little flower. I just made these little petals. See, just a little. Drew these little petals. Now I'm going to show you real quickly a scrap. So if you can try and just envision going like this with your brush, but really small, you've instantly created a simple flower. And then you can go in and tap in with some concentrated color, hardly any water, deeper ultramarine blue. You can take the tip of your brush, kind of go on the outside. See that? Just little marks. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Got even darker still with this blue. Boom. Then you could add a nice pretty yellow center. That's how I would do it, but do a tiny version the same way. Right? With the flowers. I'm just kind of scribbling the blues. I don't really need to have to make specific flower shapes. You just kind of figure out that's a flower by the color. That's the fun part with the ink and wash. It doesn't have to look like the specific thing, and you can kind of make the flowers go out. Now you can take your green, just a little bit on your brush, make some stems kind of outward, coming out from the center. I didn't show that, but I'm doing that now. You can kind of really fill up that saucer if you want to. So you can add some nice pretty leaves. Again, because it's so tiny, you might have trouble with it being a lot of water. You just take your time, tap it back onto the paper towel. See, I'm adding the greens. And then I go back in and add that pretty purple that we mixed up. And just do some little teeny blossoms. Just really tiny. So it coordinates. You can fill it in more if you wanted to. I would wait till some of this green dries because it's kind of bleeding into each other. And if you wanted to do, you know, fill up the cup, the teacup even more, you can just fill it up even more. Why not? Going up here and adding some more florals all the way to the brim. See, it's a little more interesting. You can add a blue line here. I mean, it's called for like gold, but you could do blue, and I can do blue underneath here. There's nothing stopping you from doing this, changing it up. Make it how you want to look, you know. I'm adding some more blue over here, grabbing some paint, a little concentrated, just tap, tap. This is the fun part. That's why when you draw it in, you just kind of paint in the little fun parts. See, I'm adding some little details. That purple color. Go back in here and add some of that purple color. It's already looking cute. This is already dry. You can go back in with some burnt umber. It's hard to go back and forth, guys, if you want to me zoom in and not zoom. You can't see zoom in and see paint mixing at the same time. It's impossible. So you just envision me adding a little more paint, actual concentrated burnt umber, and then you kind of go like this. Hold your brush. See that? You've got that shading for the tea. Same thing with this. Now if that tea looks a little too light, you can darken it up and make another darker wash. So if you, like I said, you can go in here and just go and put a darker wash because it dries lighter, and then wait till it dries and then go do another dark wash. For the silver spoon, or it could be gold, this is where you would use the gray. So I have this color called neutral tint. It's kind of a gray. And here we're just going to go in and make some nice gray, fill it in with gray, and leave some white halo parts. So I'm going to zoom into that. See how I'm just taking off some of it on my paper towel? Here's a little of the neutral tint color. And I'll just kind of fill it in. There are some white white parts to the spoon. That is the halo. And I'm just going to take some gray here, tap it in, so you know it's a gray spoon, silver spoon. Now, if you've missed up some of your spoon and didn't leave enough white, you can always kind of go in and add some gouache. I'm adding a little bit darker here. You can try and lift it up immediately while you're painting it. See? And now you removed it, so now you can go back in and add the gray. Put some here, here, and a little bit here. I removed too much. And a little bit here. Don't forget the side of the, the handle of the teacup. Now they could have a little color. Putting a little blue here. I didn't forget one of the teacups, which this one was supposed to have a little floral on the inside. So I can just kind of draw that with my marker. Put some leaves, go like that. And now I'm just going to take the brush, fill in that nice pretty blue, and of course the green leaves. Just a little fun, can go a little crazy. Gonna add, my green got a little muddy down here, so I gotta wait till like it dries in between. Gonna add some more green. And then I can get a little more in depth with my blue and the flower where it dried. Add those deeper tones, which I talked about. Really, it kind of just looks like a mishmash, right? Which is fine. You get the idea that it's a floral. See, and the blue center. I do a little teeny blue outline, blue center, blue outline. You can play around with that. Get the idea. And then you can add a little deeper blue on this right side here. And same here. And a little deeper blue on the handle. And we can add some of this blue, really light, little shadow here up on the upper edge here. And underneath where this spoon is. Okay. And a little over in here. Now I left that scallop empty because I'm going to use gold there. So I'm adding a little blue for shading here. Could add a little of that neutral tint if you wanted to, but you want to keep it in the blue tones. And once this part is dry, you can go right over it. I'm going to go over with some blue, mix some neutral tint for shading for the spoon, because it's like sitting on top of it. See? A little shading here. Just a little shading. All right. We're going to switch back and forth again. I'm getting there. I'm going to make the aqua color that I have. I'm going to add a little more again to the sides. Just another layer because it was too light. Going to fill that in. I'm going to put a little layer down here too. Might do this bottom half with the color. I'm playing around with like what you think would look nice. Minimal water. You can add a little bit deeper on the side here. That's a little too dark. And here. Go around here. Now again, remember we darkened that one up, so we're going to add another wash to make that darker. It's a little darker tea. And we can go back in and add our ultramarine blue flowers. Get a little darker in the center here. Do some little lines around it. See? Just kind of wiggling with the point. Dark center, wiggle around the outside. Adding some of that blue, making it a little more interesting. I'm not really painting a specific like shape of the flower. It's really me just kind of dabbing the color so you get the feel that it's this intricate flower, but it's not. It's so tiny, this painting. You don't want it to be this really cumbersome kind of thing. So again, I'm going to water it down. Tapping paper towel and put some shading in here. See? A little shading. Oh, that kind of bled. And a little more over here. And you can add some of that to the little handle as well. And then just take a little bit darker of this turquoise again on this side and out here. All right, now I'm going to add some of my gold Liquitex acrylic. Remember, this exercise is supposed to be fun and easy. Just want a little dab. I don't need too much. See, we can add that nice shiny metallic gold right on the bottom. Put it right on the handle. Put it right on the outer edge. Right. A little teeny on the rim here. Not too much. Gonna fix the outer handle. Just a little bit on the front part of the rim. And then I'm going to switch back. I'm going to put some in here. Now I have it on the scallop edge. On this one. See, I'm just kind of dabbing it. And then we're going to talk about shadows under the cups in like 1 second. Going to grab a little more of this. Very minimal, you don't need much. Put the gold again on the rim down here. A little on the rim of the edge of the handle. And the outer part of this cup. Really simple. Can have it on the outer edge up here too, on this one. Change it up a little bit. And that's that. All right, so for the shadow under the cups. So now we're going to work on the shadows. I want to keep them in like the blue, purple, maybe a little bit of red. So this one, I got the ultramarine. Might add a little magenta. And a slight bit of yellow. You get that gray. See, I'm playing around with the gray. So then, see the yellow, magenta, and ultramarine blue made that nice brown, but I'm going to go back in and add some more blue. You don't want this one note. You don't want to use grays. You want to use colors. So blue, the opposite of blue is orange. If you added orange to this, see how I get the gray? I'm going back in and adding the pink and the blue. It's purple. And a little orange. See? And a little more blue. I want mine to be a little more blue toned. Okay. So I got that color, whatever I talked about before. And then you can kind of make a nice shadow. So I would start from this side here. I actually want more blue. More blue. Touch of yellow. And touch of yellow and more blue. There we go. Just from like, go down from the center, start to swoop out, and then from the mid here to here, swoop back in, and we're just going to put a little kind of rounded outer edge shadow for our little teacup. Now, you could add some other tones to that. You can go back in and add some. I'm taking some magenta, kind of bleeding it in here, and change it up a little bit, a little bit darker. You can also use this, so this is dry, kind of water it down, that same kind of color we had. and put that here for the shadow. Of this section. So you're highlighting the spoon, putting under the spoon here. See, under here. Boom. Spoon shows up better. And back here. Right? We can also make that spoon a little bit darker, just in some areas here. Has a little more depth. And if you want to get a little bit darker again with the tea, go like that. I can put another wash of color in here. It was really kind of light. Right? Boom! So let's do the same thing with this guy, with this shadow. Same kind of colors that we mixed up. Again, from like the kind of like the middle outward. Just a simple, kind of like a crescent shape. And you can get a little bit darker with your colors, add some more darker deep blue, some red. See, mixing them back up here, really even darker, just kind of bleed that. Getting a little more pink here, touch of yellow, and you kind of bleed that as well. Right, so it's inner and then outer darker. Then I clean up my brush, I water this down, and kind of add the shadows here. Kind of going right over that. And a little bit under here. See? And a little shadow here. And there you go with that, the teapot. So then we have our teacups. Ta-da! Play around with, you know, I might go back in again and add a little more shading in here. It wasn't like dark enough for me. Play around with that. And same thing with the tea. Get a little bit darker still. These are all things you can play with. You can add a little bit of color to the outer edge here. So the white doesn't seem so white. Has a little more depth. Play around with that. But you get the idea, the simple idea of like putting in the shadows and the tea and the patterns. Wasn't that fun? That's why I like doing ink and wash. It's kind of like helps you, you know, draw more, get out of your comfort zone. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Play around with this. You don't have to use blues. You can do pinks and purples, all kinds of stuff. Just get you moving and grooving, figuring out what you like. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this exercise. I know for me, I'm thinking about tea all the time right now for my upcoming trip, so that was on my brain. So leave any questions you have or comments and tell me what you thought of this. And thank you guys so much for stopping by. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.